Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Goffstown Sewer Commission for October 13th, 2020. This is also a remote meeting as well as an in-person meeting here for the commissioners. In accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the Goffstown Sewer Commission will utilize the emergency meetings provision of RSA 91-A to conduct meetings through electronic means while preserving, to the extent feasible, the public's right to know of such meetings and ability to observe and listen contemporaneously. The Sewer Commission is utilizing telephone conference line for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number, 603-766-5646, and using the participant code 785645, followed by the pound sign. The town has previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available telephone number in the posted agenda. If anybody has a problem with telephone access, please call 603-660-5000. In the event the meeting is unable to access, the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at another time. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We'll start the meeting with roll call attendance. If you are calling in, each member states their presence. Also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required by the right to know law. So we will start with our attendance. We'll begin with Chet.
Chet Bowen, Select Board Rep.
David Pierce, Commissioner here.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner.
Rob Trapaz, Commissioner.
Mike Gergo, DPW.
Corey White, DPW.
Lynn Pooler, Sewer Secretary.
Who we have online, Lynn?
The only one we have online is Mike.
Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Sure, Michael Frank with Oil Tanner and Associates, and there's no one in the room with me.
Make your rank. Can you ask Michael, because that thing is kind of in the middle?
Yep, no problem.
Okay, good. All right, well, as usual, process, we begin our meeting with a public comment session. If anyone from the public has anything they'd like to say, this is the time to do it. The phone lines will be open, and if anybody calls in, our sewer secretary will have you access to the meeting.
Nobody there.
All right, with the commission's permission, we will recall public comment at the end of the meeting in case someone wasn't able to dial in that short period of time. So we will suspend the public comment session until later in the meeting. The first order of business, as usual, is the approval of minutes. That would be from the September 9th, 2020 meeting. Calling for corrections.
I have a correction. In the first paragraph of new business under Mast Road, when we talked about the RDF requested the sewer line to be upsized from 8 foot to 12 foot, that should read 8 inches to 12 inches in diameter.
Oh, okay.
Duly noted. Anything else in the minutes that needs corrections or changes? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion. Since you made the correction, should you make the motion?
I will. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of September 9th, 2020 as corrected.
And I'll second.
The motions are made to accept the amended minutes by Rob and seconded by Dave. Any discussion on the motion? We'll have a roll call vote. Those in favor of the motion or not in favor of the motion. Dave?
Yes, approve.
Rob?
Yes.
And Tim votes yes. Tim Redmond. Okay. We have a new business item. TF Moran, it's listed as TF Moran Easy Car Wash, Andy Ezekiel, if I'm probably have murdered your name, I apologize, owner. Is that person present tonight?
No, he is not.
All right, we will move that to the end of the meeting. We'll hold that open until the end of the meeting in case that person shows up late. Okay, we have old business. We'll start with the first item on the agenda is the pump station replacement. I mean, that's the building at Riverview Park, not the pump station itself. So insert building replacement in your agenda. So it's a pump station building replacement at Riverview Park. And I believe Rob has been doing some work on this, so I'll yield the floor to Rob.
Great. I'd sent an email around, I think Len distributed it to commissioners in DPW. I don't know if Chet got a copy or if Mike got a copy. But we should make sure that they get them.
That Mike,
Mike Trank as well, yeah. But basically, I was looking into the options of replacing the pump station building. We had not had great success contacting the pump station manufacturer for a replacement fiberglass enclosure. In doing some research, I found a company that manufactures precast buildings, and they're fairly local, out of Amesbury, Massachusetts, and this is what they do all day, every day. And, one of the issues with fiberglass is they treat it with UV inhibitors, but from our experience at Riverview with the one we have, it still has a shorter life than we would like. So I'm looking into the concrete building. I sent some information around. There's a budgetary estimate. One of the reasons why I wanted it on the agenda is I wanted to just conceptually talk about how we might go about doing this work. The building would come with electrical panel and lights and HVAC, pretty much everything that's there for the building enclosure. A crane would be needed to remove the existing enclosure, and then to take the new enclosure and if we get concurrence with engineering, drop it on the existing foundation that we have. So this company their typical scope of work is to sell the enclosure, provide the crane, set the enclosure onto the slab.
you had asked me about the purchasing, how to go about with that. And I spoke to Danielle, and anything over $10,000 has to be through a sealed bid. But I thought maybe if you were doing, I didn't know if you had different companies doing it, if you were to have a different company come and say, demo it, and it's under 10,000, you wouldn't need a sealed bid. But anything under 10,000 would still need a, 3 quotes, but not sealed.
What we could do is put out a request for proposal for a bid for a replacement structure, and if we only get one bid for our specifications, then we can accept the one bid. So we have a mechanism to work. So we would just have to put out an RFP with specifics on what we want.
Right.
And then if we get one bid or 3 bids or 12 bids, then we would work the bid process. But
So just to be clear, are we talking 3 quotes or 3 bids?
we don't have to have 3 bids. If we only get one respondent to the request for proposal, then we have the option to take the single respondent.
You probably have to ensure that your request is being sent to 3 or more qualified bidders.
Or we could put it in the Dodge
If
report.
they choose not to respond, at least we know we sent it.
That's what we do. When we do a sealed bid, usually we put it in the paper. And then whoever comes, they have a certain time they have to respond by and bring us the paperwork. However many we get is what we,
We don't necessarily send the bids to specific bidders because that would be I would believe to be an improper policy.
Thank you, Tim.
So,
and when I said 3, it was the quotes. If it's under 10,000.
well,
and you
that's,
get
it's over
quotes, that was
10,000, so
3 quotes.
let's not muddle the water because it's over
He was
10,000.
asking me that earlier. That's why I brought it up.
I didn't know what the threshold was, because I mean, there's 2 ways to go about this, I guess. One is you solicit a bid from a general contractor, and the general contractor is responsible for providing the structure, temporarily staging the existing utilities to maintain the pump station in operation. then demo the existing structure, right? He's responsible for the purchase and installation of the new structure, right? But then it's a much bigger job, right? The other way of doing it is we pre-purchase the building and we hire a contractor for the temporary staging, utilities, and demolition, and then these guys would set the building there, then the contractor would come in and redeploy all the utilities inside.
We could write a request for proposal in those exact language, and that would be,
Well, there are two different ways of doing it.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but if you want to pay less, then your second scenario is a less expensive scenario.
Because
Because-
they're our own general contractor.
We would have our own general contractor and provide the building. But if you have a general contractor that's gonna provide the building, there's gonna be a markup on the price of the building too.
That'd be 15%.
Right.
But if the
So,
building's over 10,000, then you have to put that out for a bid.
Forget that, everything's over 10,000.
It will be.
So
We got all
two
that.
bids.
we got that.
Okay.
Yeah, getting somebody here is gonna cost more than $10,000, just,
Yeah, just look at it.
All right. So, could you continue with your discussion, Rob? Do you have any information for the commission you'd like to share?
well, my initial question was to see if there was a discussion or a preference as to which direction we should move in, and if, I wasn't entirely familiar with the purchasing regulations, and if it would matter if we went one direction or the other.
We can go in two different directions as long as we follow the purchasing policy. We could put out requests for a proposal to buy a building, and if we get one bid or three bids, then we work through that. And we can do the same thing with a general contractor to handle the mechanicals for our building. We're gonna provide the building. That's an easy way to do it. It's very simple. We just have to put up a request for proposal.
You do it all on the one contract to a general contractor, you'll get your 1-year warranty, which you're not gonna get if you get a general contractor to strip it, remount, you're not gonna get a warranty.
Mike brings up a good point. Purchasing this precast concrete building from the manufacturer, who I suspect is very efficient in installing them, comes with, you said he'll cover the professional warranty of the building.
I'm confused about your statement on the warranty, Mike. Could you give me a little more information on
If
what
you
you...
do it to, you have a contractor come in and purchase the building, right? And take the old building out and put a new building in, and we have it all rewired, and have all the components put back, there'll be a warranty to that.
Why wouldn't you have one if...
You won't have one if you get some other guy that's a contractor around here to do the work. You won't get a warranty.
I disagree with that, because if we bought the building from a bona fide building manufacturer, they're gonna warranty the building, and then whoever you hire to do the work is gonna warranty their work. It'd be two warranties involved. I don't assume that there's gonna be no warranty if the contractor doesn't provide the building. I would disagree with that statement.
I think you're correct, that no matter what, you're gonna have the manufacturer's warranty for the building.
Yeah.
And the warranty on the workmanship is, gonna be under the terms that you negotiate with that contractor. The potential downside that I see about splitting this up into two different contracts is if the building shows up late, or it shows up and there's something wrong with it, now you have a contractor that's sitting here saying, hey, I had no control over the schedule, and I'm gonna ding you for contract time or extra mobilizations, or we could be exposed to additional costs.
Okay.
To do it that way.
It's a good
But it's gonna cost more money up front.
Well, what do you...
This is a type of a building you want installed correctly the first time. According to the literature, they'll last 100 years, so you want it done right.
But isn't what-
And for the efficiency of installation, I'd rather have a person or a firm that has done it many times before.
Well-
Someone we may hire locally may be the first time he's lifted a building, and
What is the cost estimate for the building?
It's,
Ballpark.
Yeah, it's about 75 grand.
So 15% of 75,000 is a small number to get the whole thing tied together and let someone be responsible for the whole thing. Okay.
Okay.
Any discussion from other?
I would just add to Dave's comment that I think even if you have a GC or a local contractor do the work, they're going to have to do it under the supervision of the manufacturer, so that the manufacturer is comfortable in signing off on the warranty. But I also agree that you don't want to be the first run down the road.
In reviewing the literature you provided to us about this manufactured building, I saw in one photograph, the building comes with a pre-made cast floor. However, it had maybe some cutouts that would be lowered into the, over the pumping equipment.
Yeah, I'm
Would
not
this-
sure that
would
that's
this building, would this building be in that fashion with a floor with maybe cutouts in it? Or would it just be the walls and the roof?
Walls in the roof, but my understanding is there's almost like a flange on the bottom side that,
Some sort of gasket or?
right, some sort of mastic material, and then you anchor it to the slab. I think either way, we're going to need to have an engineer look at the foundation that we have there now and what we're proposing to make sure it's suitable.
A 40,000-pound building has to be anchored?
Well, what was discussed prior, Dave, was that the existing concrete slab that the fiberglass building is mounted on, we have to have an engineer certify that the concrete building would not be too heavy for that slab as it is constructed. So that would require us hiring an engineer to do a certification on that and an analysis of it.
Or would that be part of the RFP, make it a one-shop deal?
You're going to have a hard time because the manufacturer isn't going to know what's there, and they're not going to want to try to certify that. All that being said, I understand that their typical detail is a 6-inch slab that's moderately reinforced, top and bottom. So I don't think it's drastically different, and from what Mike tells me, there's a frost wall
There's frost walls
on the existing, so.
on the three sides,
Three sides?
because you got your tank on the front side.
Yeah, I think we might know an engineer that could help us out with that.
My way of thinking, David, to answer your query is that I think we would want the engineering done in advance of any decisions to buy the building or even move forward with the project, and not have it as part of the RFP, have that decision made prior to even forming an RFP.
I agree.
All right, anything else on that? So I think we should, we're looking for a consensus whether we are going to continue research on this, Rob, or what is your take?
Well, my belief is, and, I did get a budgetary estimate on a fiberglass structure that was about 45,000. So 45,000, 75,000, these are round numbers. But, again, we're replacing a fiberglass one after how many years? 20
years.
20? And, we'd expect a concrete building to last 50 to 100.
No. Is there anyone that is opposed to a fiberglass building? I mean, for grounds other than monetary, or you're talking about the lifespan of the building? Is that your concern about replacing it with a fiberglass building?
Right, I don't see, this lasted us 20 years, which is fine for rotating equipment, but I don't think buildings should last 20 years.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Before we move on to the budget, I've provided some paperwork to the commissioners and to our selectmen's representative. And I believe Mike and Corey have a copy of it. This is a proposal from Belmore Catch Basin Maintenance for sewer jetting throughout the town. They have provided us with a hourly rate of $157.50 an hour, includes the Vector truck and the operator. And if you go to the second and third pages of the document, it is his state contract rental agreement with the state of New Hampshire. He is on the New Hampshire state bid list,
Unquote, yeah.
and his number is slightly higher than what is rate No, it isn't actually. When you add 146.50 and 11, it comes up to 157.50. So he is quoting us a rate which is what his number is for the state of New Hampshire's bid list. So we do not necessarily have to put this out to bid because we are selecting our bid from the state bid list.
This would be for 30 days of,
Well, I wanted to get the number for the commissioners so that we can validate whether we want to budget 30 days' worth of vac time or something less. I've also provided some other paperwork here. The second document is dated October 13th. It is from Project Flagging in Portsmouth.
Car wash? Yes, come on in.
They provide flaggers for the job sites.
no, back on the original
Oh.
one, Tim. Is there a period of work for this effort, or is it, open up to be performed over 6 months?
I have told Belmore Catch Basin Maintenance, we have a 30-day allowance, as discussed by the sewer commissioners for this season, and we'd like to use the 30-day allowance in 2020, and he has told me if the commissioners are agreeable, he can begin on or about November the 1st, and he'll jet for up to 30 days, weather permitting, to try to jet as many lines as we can in that time span.
So this is a 30-day, 30 work days, right? 30, not 30 calendar days, 30 work days.
If we choose to use that many.
Choose to use all 30.
Right.
Could be
So if you
the
take
job-
150,
The job that Mike's lines up could be 22 or.
I don't know how long it took the prior highway department crew to vector the 43,000 or whatever the number was of 1/3 of the system, but we can move forward with this if the commissioners see fit, and we will find out what we get for our money based on the contract rate and see where we go. But we can't not jet any lines this year. We have to do something.
We cannot jet with DPW equipment,
DPW equipment is not available,
but we
apparently.
can with, under a contract.
Last I talked to the Public Works Director, it was unlikely that it was going to be available for service.
So
Now-
this puts us back on schedule, basically, if he's able to.
It'll help us get close to whatever the target number that Mike and Corey had for their number of feet of lines they like to jet on an annual basis.
Mhm.
So that is the first document that we have. If Lynn could do do you have the document in front of you, Lynn?
I gave it to, this one.
Could you do the math on the proposal for an 8-hour day and tell us how much per day it is?
157.50.
An hour times 8.
Oh, for 8 hours, it's 157.50 an hour. For 8 hours, it's 1,260.
So we're talking about $30,000 approximately.
It's 37,800.
Okay, thank you.
3,700. That's written on this.
Okay. So $37,800 is what we are talking about budgeting up to for the jetting.
But you
If
have
we-
to add in the flagging, right?
We're going to add in the flagging, because they do not provide flaggers. And if we have DPW employees flagging, we have to pay them as well for their rate. So I decided to check with Project Flagging, which is a municipal flagging corporation out of Portsmouth, and they quoted me the hourly rate for flaggers at $36.40. Depending upon our needs, if it's a low-volume road, we could have one flagger, or if it's a high-volume road, we could have 2 flaggers. So we would just have to make arrangements in advance based on whatever schedule Mike and Corey set up for flagging, and I would work with them and provide them with the phone numbers and who to contact down there if they were to decide they wanted to have 1 or 2 flaggers.
So if we had one flagger for the 30 days, that would be 8,736. If we had to have 2, it'd be 17,472.
But it's not going to be all 2 flagging, I can tell you that.
Right, so it's gonna be between those two numbers was the point.
Right.
Yeah. So grand
that-
total,
Maybe you could estimate 1/3 of the time would be 2 flaggers, just to give.
Well, let's ask Mike and Corey.
A high number.
do you have any kind of a guesstimate on high-volume roads versus low-volume roads?
Well, the only ones you're gonna have is Mass, 114, Mass Road,
High Street.
Rockland. High
Those are
Street, those.
considered high-volume roads?
Yeah,
Are they on your
I have to look at the
one-third
map.
that you must get to this year?
I have to look at the map.
We're gonna look at worst-case scenario of 2 flaggers, like you said. And if we can trim the budget by using a single flagger with Corey's assistance, obviously, he's gonna have to be around.
But yeah, it's gonna have to be there because he has to do a segment report, fuel report for every line that they do and
Okay.
every manhole they clean. It's inspected as they go.
And Corey may not be available 5 days in a row to work. He has other things he has to do. So we may, and I've talked with Belmore about this, and they will work with us. They'd like to see a 4-day week if they could, because it works best for them for scheduling. But Ray is pretty easy to get along with, and Ray said he'll try to accommodate us to the best of his ability. Okay? So I'm giving you numbers for discussion purposes tonight, so you know what we're up against if we move forward.
No, I mean, don't we have to make that decision?
I think we
We're gonna
do.
it in November.
I think we have to do, yes. So, and then the last document I gave you is from Chapel Tractor. We have to provide a sign package as well, and I think it would be in the interest of the Sewer Commission to buy a sign package, a single sign package for the Sewer Department to own and maintain and store. The signs are listed as BPTS, that's Be Prepared to Stop. FA is flagger ahead, and OLRA is one-lane road ahead. So you provide a one-lane road ahead, be prepared to stop, and flagger ahead. And then you got to get the basis for each of them. So it's about $1,000 to buy a sign package. But it's a one-time purchase. The sewer department will have their own sign package. We could use it for any number of things if the sewer department had to go out and do anything. So I'm suggesting that the sewer commission consider purchasing these signs. In my former position at the town of Ware, every time I needed signs or anything, Chapel Tractor always provided us with the lowest price and the best quality for the money. So, and since it's under $1,000, we don't even have to get a bid. But it's my recommendation, based on my prior experience with them, that they are a reputable, and if there's anything wrong with anything, they replace it on the spot. So there'd be no problems with buying it online, and then something's not right, and then you got to try to return it.
Tim, you mentioned package, so are these a sign plus the aluminum stand?
Yes, they are. There's, the first item on the list is 6 SSS MS Rigid. Those are the flexible stands that they sit on. They have three types of stands. They have a 3-legged stand and a 4-legged stand. The 3-legged stands are susceptible to wind and traffic blowing them over, which you see signs on the road all the time that are blown over. These are spring-loaded aluminum extendable leg 4-foot stands, and they're rugged, and they do a good job. The only ones I would have bought when I was in Ware. I bought all of them like that. So
So basically, we're looking at a total expenditure up to $56,000 if we have 2 flaggers all the time, which is gonna be high.
now, I asked Lynn to look at some of our accounts and report to us on where we would be able to use this money out of. Lynn, can you report on that, please?
Yeah, well, we had, I was looking at the minutes from the last meeting, and we had made a motion that we were going to just go over in the VACCON expense line.
Okay.
That's what we were just gonna go there. We couldn't put it in another line.
What is the VACCON expense line right now? Is it on the sheet you gave me here? VACCON expenses, it's 20,000.
Yeah, VACCON is underneath, it's almost the next from the last one on the page.
So, based on your percentage used figures, are we going to be able to cover that and still remain in our budget? That would be my question to you.
No, that's what the motion was for. We're gonna go over the budget.
We're not allowed to go over budget.
We're going over the budget on that line, but we won't go over budget in total.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah, we're fine in total.
Because if we go over budget, we have to go to DRA, and
No,
that's the
no,
last
we're
place I wanna
fine,
go.
we're fine in total.
So we're going to have to monitor the expenses from your end, and you're going to have to make sure that if we get to the point where we're at 25 days and we're getting too tight on our budget, we may have to stop the operation at
No,
that
we've
point.
got plenty of money, because
Okay.
Manchester O&M has,
All right, well, I just
Extra in it.
making sure that everybody understands that we may have to pull the plug if we don't remain within our budget. Okay,
Well, this whole thing was under budget by.
right, well, that's capital improvement
okay,
money. I don't
different
know if we
bucket.
can transfer money, use money out of the CIP
And
to pay for this.
technically, now that we have the capital reserve fund.
Yes.
We can go over budget and take the money from there if we need it.
Right, but that's a process. So, does anybody have any questions or comments about the figures that have been provided tonight for the three elements? We need the contractor, we need the flagging, and we need the sign package. Does anybody have any further discussion or comments about this?
You mentioned on the flaggers, the vac truck, that's at a state rate. What about the flagging?
There's not, it's not a state bid number. These are a municipal-based, they work out of Portsmouth. I won't say they're a municipal, I should rephrase that. A lot of municipalities hire project flagging because they are, I don't know if their rates are cheaper or not. We could get another price from New England Traffic Control or one of those other companies, but I'm pretty sure that they're all gonna be pretty competitive, but I won't say that for a fact. I would. So if you think we need to go out for other pricing on the flaggers, we could make the motion subject to us getting the best pricing on flagging and then moving forward.
Well, the question is, do we need to?
Well, we're gonna be over a certain budget number for the end, but you can break the bill up and charge it off to every street, which is a way to stay under the number. If you broke up the flagging bill for High Street, you submit that bill under the budget, and you just keep working your way through the streets, you could stay under the number because they would all be individual accounts for individual streets. But I'd be happy to make some more calls and get some other pricing on flagging if the commission would like me to.
Well, I feel that our best chance of getting 30 days of a Vector truck in before winter means we start as soon as we can.
We won't be able to start before November 1st, which is in about 2 weeks. I have a commitment from Belmore that he will start on or about November the 1st if this commission instructs him to.
Your comment is in line with starting soon.
So, would you like to act on two of them and only two of them at this point? Would you like to act on all three and just get going? If we're gonna be in Dutch with the finance department, I will tomorrow pursue some other flagging prices. And if we can get a better price on flagging, the other part is getting a commitment from them. You know, Project Flagging told me they would commit to a number of flaggers we needed for the whole thing. If you,
A question for our staff. When you start to be engaged in the cleaning of the lines, could you select lines where the roads are quiet? So you'd have 2 or 3 days of less volume roads, so you only need one flagger.
When we put a list of roads together, we can,
And then you might put a list of road together that
You would
would
need two
require two
flaggers.
flaggers, and you have 2 or 3 days of consistent work.
Yep.
Don't have a two-person flagger just for 3 hours.
Well, it's based upon years. It's a 3-year cycle, so where we're at for this year is the places we would have to pick.
But still, you have some choice.
but we could pick the main roads first, that we would need 2 flaggers, do all the main roads first.
or you can just do them on a schedule where the flaggers are available.
Yeah.
If we found out we could only get 2 flaggers one day during the first week, then you would move to one of your busy roads the first day and then move off to the side roads the second day.
There's no guarantee you're gonna get 2 a day. and-
We'll leave it up to you guys to make the schedule and at your discretion.
Well, if they don't provide us the number of flaggers we need, then we won't use them next time.
Oh, you see that a lot.
Just so that we meet the criteria for the purchasing department, I will call New England Traffic Control tomorrow, and if their price is higher, then I would just like you to formulate a motion tonight that allows us to select the lowest priced flagging company so that we can move forward with the authority to get going.
You had a motion at the last meeting. Rob made a motion to authorize the chairman to coordinate 30 days' worth of VACON services under the guide of the state. No, wait a minute. Yeah, state bid program and to authorize not to exceed $15,000 for flagging services to a low bid flagging selection process to vacuum the lines on the streets.
Then I will continue, if we formulate the motion tonight that says that we will use the low bidding flagging company, that will get us moving, and I will get some other prices, and we'll just take the one out of the group that's the lowest bidder.
I mean, our high side number was like 17,000 on the flagging, which we know we're not gonna hit, so 15, that's, as Lynn read, is perfectly appropriate.
Yes,
There is.
I agree,
So I just use that motion.
15,000.
But you still want me to get some other prices on flagging, right? I think to satisfy Danielle,
I
we
think
probably
you-
should.
I think you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
because of the town purchasing policy.
I'll do that.
It's over 10,000 though, we have to do sealed bids, don't we?
Anything over 3, you get 3 quotes.
All right, so let's
Well, but they're gonna
move.
be billed out as individual streets, right?
Well, we don't
They
have to
do
do
it
it.
by days.
We can do it by the days. So, I'd like to see a motion on this. Lynn, if you could we can use Rob's motion from the prior meeting. But is that an authorization motion, or do we
Yeah.
need?
It was a
So we don't,
motion to
so we don't even need a
authorize
motion
you.
on this stuff tonight?
I don't think so. I think we did it right the first time.
Everybody agree that that was an authorization motion to spend the money?
Maybe the only other thing that's not in there that we should
Flag.
add is the flag package.
Well, we can add that tonight on a separate
Not
motion.
to exceed $1,000, or you can just amend that motion and
You can make a separate motion out of that, Rob.
The sign pack.
I think that would be better if it was
That's
a
a sign
second.
package, not
That's fine.
flaggers.
Let's make that a separate motion then, okay? So we already had a motion that passed for the expenditure for the flaggers and the contractor to do the work at state bid. That's a done deal, that's set aside. So the only thing is a motion on buying the sign package for the sewer department.
A motion to then buy the sign package from Chappelle Tractor, 6 stands and 6 signs listed on this bid, not to exceed $1,000.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded. Roll call vote on the motion. Dave?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Tim votes yes. All right. So,
These new signs will be secured in your new office?
no, we'll put them in our locked-up trailer.
Yeah.
No. I think you're gonna have to keep them in your home, in your garage.
Is there a shelf for that?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it's on the floor.
No,
All
put
right,
them in East Union.
yes, you can put them right in East Union Pump Station. Perfect place.
Running out of room.
I'll make more room, don't you worry about it.
So while we're on the subject of East Union Pump Station, I'd like a quick report from you guys on
Yeah,
the,
we've got, I don't know if you want to go back in.
no, he's late, he can wait.
That's fine, I'm fine.
Finish up our business here. So can you report on East Union Pump Station contract? Mike or Corey, or both?
Well,
Paving, the paving contract.
East Union, got repaved. They paved it a couple weeks ago, re-gravelled it, raised it up a little, we raised it up about 5-6 inches, with gravel, so we repaved it, replaced some of the manhole covers that got destroyed. Well, they didn't get destroyed, they got taken off. We put a base pavement down in the parking area and in the roadway, and we put a top on it last Thursday, actually. Put a, half-inch top on the binder. So it's all paved, so anything you got left now is backing up the pavement with gravel and lumen seed.
Where do we need to lumen seed?
Well, you're gonna have to lumen seed the edges
The
around
shoulders of the pavement.
the pavement.
When we shoulder around the asphalt, because some of it got raised, after you shoulder, we'll have to tie in loam to the shoulders to hold everything.
So what's your recommendation to move forward with that? Do we want to get a bid on that? Do we want to rent a machine? What do we want to do?
I was thinking just rent a machine, I can do it.
You willing to take on that responsibility?
Mhm.
What would you need to rent?
I'm thinking just probably a track Bobcat,
Okay,
probably do it with that.
and then you get a load of gravel delivered and,
Yeah, probably Mount Williams. Probably might take more than one load to shoulder it. It's pretty
Okay.
thick.
So you're talking about making a hard shoulder.
Yeah, we have-
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
just like the town roads have, same
Mhm.
thing as the town roads. Now, and you would have to compact it as well. So we'd have to either tire roll it in with the truck or rent a plate compactor to hit it with.
Yeah.
Better off getting a plate compactor.
So would you like to, can we authorize our DPW employees to get some pricing or get a machine delivered and get some gravels delivered and get this done before it gets in much later? It's gonna start freezing up and it'd be nice to have that
Yeah.
all
Get
completed.
that all backed up, absolutely.
Well, he's gotta do it this month, because if he starts November 1st cleaning sewer, that's it for him for a while.
So are you going, do you think you could squeeze in a couple of days to go over there and make arrangements for delivery and get a skid steer over there?
Yeah, I can get in touch with East Point over here
All right.
and try to reserve a machine. I'm gone from Thursday to Monday, so next week I can.
So would this commission like to authorize Corey to just rent a machine and get it delivered and do the work, buy the gravel and get it done? My vote would be yes.
I
Just-
agree.
So we'll just use your discretion. If East Point gets you a machine, you can get a machine and.
Yep.
And if we don't, do we have an account with Mount William, do you think?
I don't know, I'd have
Town
to
has
call.
an account.
Okay, well, if you charge it,
That's
we
where
can,
some of the stuff comes
we can
from.
charge it to the town and then the sewer department can
Yeah.
pay a fair share on the bill, pay the bill when it comes in. Just as long as you notify Adam that we're gonna use their account
Yep.
and those loads will be paid for by the sewer commission.
Okay.
And as far as a plate compactor, you can probably rent one from,
East Point has, you can rent them from East Point too.
so we're gonna leave it up to you to handle that and make sure it's done prior to,
Gravel for the shoulders can't be the gravel that's already in the back lot of DPW, or you're gonna purchase some special blend from Mount Williams?
it's not our gravel, it's not, we don't own the
It's the
gravel at
town.
DPW. It belongs to the town highway department and
Thank you
I-
for correcting me.
I think we would be best to just buy our own gravel and avoid that
Cleaner,
hurdle.
simpler, easier. Pay for the trucks.
And just down the road, this commission, with the guidance from the selectmen, Chet has been working at the select board, and he can advise us on that. We're gonna have to make a decision on the access to the lakefront down there for next year. Very briefly, Chet, can you tell us what the selectmen have decided?
Yep, so I've talked to 3 of the other 4 about the plans that you had, and the suggestion, unless something was to change in a very big way based on what you had already described to me, the suggestion was to have the sewer commissioners vote on what you wanted to do, and then bring that to the select board, and the select board would say that's totally fine. It is your property, it's yours to do with what you would like.
Okay, so I would like to suggest we have another agenda item, Lynn, for another night, that we will discuss a gate or not, and the positioning of a gate or not. I think if we will allow access for vehicular traffic to the upper parking area and the main driveway, there's plenty of people to be able to get in there and still put their kayaks in without allowing the vehicles to drive all the way down to the riverfront.
But you don't wanna plug up in front of the building either.
No, I don't want to do that either, but
What would happen?
I don't know, Mike.
The way we've seen vehicles there this year, they would park they park now in front of the building.
Well, then this is a discussion for another night. We'll talk about what this commission feels is an appropriate action for parking. I don't think it's appropriate to have the vehicles all the way down at the waterfront myself. You can see the damage down there and everything else. It's not gonna stop trash, it's not gonna stop people's bad actions, but if the commission sees fit to restrict vehicular traffic, we'll talk about that at another night, but not tonight. Okay, we're not,
I was gonna say, we also have Mike Trank on the line, if you wanted to hit on Elm Street plans that were out for state review.
all right, Mike, could you please apprise us of what's going on with the Elm Street pump station?
Sure. I did send a review set of drawings or PDF file over to Mike year ago, I believe. I copied the commissioners on that as well. I did get some comments back from Mike, which I need to follow up with him on. And I also sent a set of drawings up to New Hampshire DES for review. and I just got their review comments back, and we're in the process of addressing those. Nothing too earth-shattering there. So we're gonna just turn that around, with the comments addressed, and get that back out to everybody for final review and hopefully approval to get it out to bid. I do need to have some discussion with Mike Yergo about easements and, what we're gonna need to do for the easements and get that process going.
Mike, would you expect that we're going to be able to get a contract out and a bid awarded before the end of 2020?
I guess that would depend on what we need to do for easements, because you definitely want to have easements. If you need easements, you definitely want to have that in place before you can award any construction contracts.
Well,
But I would think we could get it out to bid at least, yes.
well, the reason for that, because of the increased parking area, Mike, is that the reason you would want that taken care of prior to awarding the contract?
Yeah, the additional turnaround space for the driveway.
What if that was considered an addendum to the contract to be awarded after the main contract was awarded, so that we could try to encumber the money for this year? I know we don't actually encumber, but it's nice to use, was that money planned for this year, Mike?
Believe it was.
Yeah, because that money is in our budget this year for CIP to utilize that to do that work. So it'd be nice if we could carry that money over if we had a signed contract, but if it's going to be cumbersome due to the easement thing, if there's any other way around it, Mike, I would just ask for your expertise in trying to deal with it.
You could probably do it that way.
Okay, well, we can consider that, and maybe at the next monthly meeting in November, we could have a substantive discussion about where we're going if you have your DES comments addressed and we're ready to actually talk about a contract.
Yeah, we plan to have that turned around probably next week.
Excellent, thank you.
The other thing you're gonna consider too, where you want easements or you wanna purchase the property.
Right.
Because you got an easement that surrounds the property now.
We'll have to start working on that.
Because I get you all the deeds and the name of the person that were generations down it belonged to.
Okay. We'll have to start on that right away then. Okay, we're not going to talk about the budget. We're going to ask our new business man to come forward. Are you Andy?
Yes, I am.
I murdered your last name when I tried to say it
It's a
before.
tough one. My last name is Ezekiel.
I was close.
And I apologize for being late. I was sent to Grasmere, so.
Oh, I bet there was nobody there to meet
Called
you.
my engineer and said, there's nobody here.
All right, could you please identify yourself for the record, sir?
Yeah, my name's Andrew Ezekiel, and my proposal is Easy Express Car Wash.
Excuse me one second. Mike, were you trying to say something, or were you just making noise on the phone? No?
No?
Thank you, Mike. Okay. Andy, could you please explain why you're here tonight?
So I guess what I'm here for tonight is for tapping into the sewer line at 186 Mast Road
Okay,
for my car wash.
okay. So do we need to go to Mike Yergo for a report on this, what's going
I
on?
reviewed the plans for the car wash. Right now, there is 4 flow figures for discharge to the sewer, and I have to get a hold of Nick and find out which one he's talking about. He did a spreadsheet on it, and those numbers are different from the email, which is different from the industrial P treatment questionnaire I sent them. So I don't know which number is which.
Did you get it today?
I got it last week, but I'm only working part-time.
Okay.
So, I'm a little bit behind on I get more people coming in and ask me questions than I do can respond to immediately, so,
Yeah, so you're gonna have to get back to him,
to
yeah.
Nick on that, so. So that's where we're at now, because that's gonna have to be approved by the city manager for the industrial P treatment program.
Okay.
Because you will get a class 5 permit to operate that treatment facility for the car wash, the recirculating
Okay, yeah.
of the water. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
pre-treatment, so there's guidelines you're gonna have to follow through for that.
Could I just confirm something? This is not going to be a recirculating water system at your car wash. You're going to be a
Yes, sir.
direct discharge.
No, we're gonna recycle water,
See,
absolutely.
now, your applicant, at the planning board meeting, I asked that question directly, and I was told that the car wash is going to discharge all water from car wash operations into the sewer system.
I believe I interrupted him and said that we were.
I missed that, I missed that interruption.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, it's
So you're going to have a recirculating, regenerating type car wash
correct.
system?
It's not 100% regeneration, but it's up to 75%.
Okay,
Correct.
so that's your information, Mike?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's the flow numbers, because the flow numbers are gonna reflect accessibility fee.
Mhm.
So, for every 450 gallons, there's a $5,000 accessibility fee for
Yeah, I
that.
saw
Saw that.
yeah.
So are we waiting for Nick to finalize the numbers with you before we can,
Well, it's gonna have to finalize the numbers, because it's gonna affect accessibility fee. And it's
absolutely.
gonna affect his user fee, because you're gonna get a user fee forever and a day. Accessibility fee is a one-time fee.
Right, and then the user fees once a year, right?
Twice a year. It's
Twice a year.
Billed, billed twice a year.
billed twice a year. It's an annual fee that's billed
Right,
twice a
right,
year.
yeah, I have all those numbers, yeah. And I've
So-
submitted all of that for, those rough numbers for, I think it was 40,000 to tap in, or the initial,
Yeah, whatever the discharge is gonna be to the sewer,
yeah.
whatever that gallon is.
Yeah.
So that's what we gotta iron out.
Generally speaking, Andy, we as a commission we have our authority, but we defer to Mike for calculations, accessibility fee calculations and such, because then he reports to us on what is going on down there.
Okay.
So, I don't know what else I can do. Does any other commissioners have any questions for this, for Andy that's in front of us tonight?
When you looking to construct it?
As soon as possible. I've got, all of my financing into underwriters, so I'm just waiting for them to come back and close on the property,
Yeah.
and so, anytime in the next 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully we can get going and start making some progress.
And you probably already reviewed the plans for how he's tapping into the main line.
Yeah, it's gonna tap in using uncertainty. So it's gonna be a 6-inch into the interceptor itself.
Are you on site? I'm learning here. Are you on site when that's done?
Somebody near him will be there, because we have to inspect it, the insulation of it.
So Mike, what can we do to help move this along? Wait till Nick gets his final numbers to you? Is that where we are?
Yeah, you're gonna get final
Nick is the
numbers,
project engineer?
Nick Golan.
project engineer,
Correct, yeah.
and somebody's gotta sign the form, which nobody did, so.
Which one is that?
The industrial peat treatment program form,
I thought we sent all that stuff in.
unsigned. I looked at it today, it was unsigned.
Are they these? No?
No.
One of these?
No, it's like a 7 or 8 page form.
Oh,
Yeah. So I gotta review that, and somebody's gonna sign it.
But that's all gonna get back to your flow numbers, right?
Yeah.
They all gotta match.
So
then it gets redone
That's
anyways.
what it's gonna go by, is what's in that industrial peat treatment application,
Gotcha.
so.
okay.
So I don't know, what Nick's the one that emailed it, so.
So what I'd like to do at this time with the other commissioners' consents, I'd like to get you to get after Nick,
Yeah,
to get his stuff
yeah,
together,
we were,
and then make arrangements, make sure Mike has all the information.
Okay.
And Mike, we'd like you at your fastest available time frame to try to handle the paperwork for these folks so that they can meet whatever deadline they're trying to meet. And I know you will, but just the idea is if we work together on this, we'll all come out with much better.
I was under the impression that that had all been taken care of, and,
Not yet, so,
okay.
And a 6-inch pipe is suitable for,
yeah, suitable.
Okay.
That takes a lot of flow.
it does.
Is there anything else we can do to try to help you along tonight?
I don't think so, you know.
And feel free,
Nick said he didn't need to be here, that it was okay for me to be here by myself, so.
He's trying to save,
Mercy, you
he's
know.
trying to save you the cost of his time to be here.
Yeah, I'm a businessman, I'm not a pipe guy or a, you know.
Well, that's fine. We'd rather hear from you, actually.
So,
The
I'll have to let him know he hung me out to dry.
accessibility fees due prior to CO.
Yeah,
And you
and,
gotta get a sewer permit prior to get a building permit,
right,
so just let
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so you'll need your sewer permit prior to obtaining your building permit from the town.
Right.
They won't let it
Yeah,
go.
that we know, yeah,
Yeah.
we're ready to do that, yeah.
And then you've understood too that the accessibility fees are tied to your certificate of occupancy. You have to pay those prior to receiving your
Correct.
certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
Now, do we have any language in the contract with these folks that we're going to somehow monitor what's going on to make sure that we don't have to make adjustments either in their favor or our favor as time goes by? Could it be based on the number of car washes you perform or something to that effect? I mean, if our,
Well, the industrial peat treatment permit is gonna say car wash, you're allowed to discharge X amount of gallons per day.
I see.
And when you got, then your special conditions, you have like, you gotta have oil spill prevention equipment, you gotta have, everything on site. Then when you clean the tank, you gotta send an invoice, copy an invoice to the sewer department, so we know that you are cleaning your holding tank for your grit. So stuff like that is gonna be on the permit.
I only ask that because when they do make their flow calculations, we have no way of knowing what their actual discharge is because we're not tied to the water meter bill.
The only way we find out what their discharge is, we request a copy of the bill from the Manchester Water Works.
Okay.
That's how we find people that's using more water or using
All right,
less.
well, you'll be free to
So,
discuss it at a future date if you felt it was necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to undercharge you, but we don't want to see you paying more than you have to pay based on what happens at your business over time.
And I'm working with, I'm partnered with people that have done this.
Okay.
All over the country. And so the numbers that I'm given
Or good
are
numbers.
usually for, even though the traffic is pretty high on 114, I'm given numbers for, some of these car washes are washing, 600 cars a day.
Right.
And
So-
so, I'm sure they're high. And so they prepare for that,
Okay.
for growth and that's what they do. They put everything in high and so, it may cost a little bit more, but I got room to grow, so.
Well, I just want to make sure you're treated fairly, that's all.
Yeah, I appreciate it, thank you.
Anything else from our other commission members? You have anything else for us?
I don't, no.
Well, then I think the ball's in your court with Nick, and
Okay.
then it turns into Mike's court with getting paperwork back to you.
Okay, and you're all good with checks and payments and all that stuff?
We don't collect any
You guys don't do
money.
that?
they don't collect no money, no.
Okay,
The permits is, the DPW office,
okay.
so you'll get a permit from there. If you give me your email, I'll probably have it anyway.
You're talking about the sewer permit.
Sewer permit, yeah.
And when you pay the accessibility fee, that would come to me, but you would pay that before you can get your CO.
And one other
There
thing
you
to
go.
make you aware of is, we have a regulation in our sewer ordinance that anybody who lays a sewer line in the town of Goffstown is supposed to have a town of Goffstown drain layers license. So you may want to get in touch with whoever your site contractor is going to be and make sure that they are aware of the regulation that somebody from that company will have to have a drain layers license. There's a procedure to get one,
Okay,
and Mike can guide you through that, but a drain layers license will be required to sewer work in the town of Goffstown. And that's available through the sewer department by way of Mike.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Located at DPW,
Located at DPW, part-time,
part-time.
Go ahead.
for now.
It is part-time for right now.
Okay?
well, I appreciate all your attention, thank you.
Well, thank you for waiting for us.
Sorry I was late.
No, that's no
It's all
problem.
right.
We made you wait, so you got punished from us and Nick.
I'm just doing what I'm told.
All right, the last item on the agenda tonight, under old business, is the budget. And are you going to guide us, Lynn, or what are we doing?
I will guide you through it. I made some changes to some of the numbers on there as well.
Get a pre-approval for that? No.
So, one thing I noticed after I had made all the copies is the next to the last column, it says 2020 year-end budget. That's actually 2019 year-end budget.
With the last column?
The next to the last column. We're in 2020. Okay. So the first few lines, they all came from finance for the regular wages, commissioner stipend, that's the 2,500 we put in. And there's the FICA, the Medicare, retirement, unemployment. The numbers that you see in there for unemployment, workers' comp, and benefits, those numbers are going to change somewhat. They don't have the final numbers yet. We should probably be getting them this week, Danielle told me. So the 2021 budget's the last column on the right. And then the next one, employee development, I just kept the $250 in there. What that is, I put Corey's in there this year. He went for some training.
Good.
I didn't know if you wanted, that was really for my training if I decided to go to any, but I didn't know if you wanted to leave that and add another line below for his, or do we just want to continue to put them both up here in this line?
I think we should leave in the same line. It's the same category. You can both use it.
Okay.
And if we have to overspend the line, we can overspend the line and we can cover it from other lines.
Do you think you're going to go for anything next year? I left the 250 in there. Do you think you're going to need any extra money for any kind of training or anything?
Oh, I think Corey's gonna have to get a certification for wastewater, not waste, collector system grade 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's up in Franklin.
Yeah. I don't remember the cost. It's been generations
Well,
before
I think-
got mine.
I think we should increase that line to a minimum of 500 then to include that for him to go up there, and if we have to go over that, we can, so we'll increase that to 500.
Okay. The next line, auditing services, I increased that to 7,500 after speaking to Danielle. Legal services.
Well, it didn't reflect, where's the 7,500? I don't see it.
It's not on there, that's what I'm saying. I made some changes after I gave you this copy.
So the 2021 budget, that's where the change will go to?
Yep, so it's gonna be, instead of 6,750, it's gonna be 7,500,
Okay.
okay? And if there's, this is what I put in, so if anybody has
Have
any
we,
comments.
have we overexpended our auditing line already?
Looks that way.
For this year,
$710 worth.
112%.
no, I didn't print that one out.
Because it says here that we budgeted 6, and 2020 year end is 7650.
I forgot what that one was for. We did go over a little bit, that's as much as we're going to spend this year.
Okay, well, 7,500 for next year should pick up the slack.
We went up 7,500 next year because she said there's something that is done every odd year that costs a little bit more money, so that's why we went up to the 7,500.
Mhm.
Okay. Legal services, we had 5,000, I went down to 2,500 because if you're looking at all the prior years, we've never spent the $5,000. It's
Well, we're
all-
going to be looking for some easement acquisition or property purchase for the Elm Street Pump Station, so I think we should leave it at 5 this year in case we need to use it to complete those necessary easements or land purchases for the expansion of that Elm Street Pump Station.
Hopefully that's gonna happen this year though, right?
Well, we're trying to go in that direction. This is for next year's budget.
Understood.
Okay. Everybody agree, David? Would you agree to leave it at the 5?
Go.
The next line is banking services. I decreased that down to $1,000 because even this year, we haven't been charged anything. They have a contract with the bank now. they're not charging us as much. We're getting a credit to offset it. So it's until the town reaches what they budgeted, we aren't charged anything. Once they go over, then they start to charge us for it. But they're not even close to their budget this year, and she doesn't think she will be next year either, so.
You're recommending changing 25 to 10.
Well, nope, we're on banking services. I'm leaving it at it doesn't have anything in it right now, and I'm making it 1,000. That 2,500 above it we
was a
changed
line.
to 5,000.
Line off.
That was the legal one.
Okay, next.
Okay, the next one, office supplies, I kept that at 2,500.
Yep.
Postage, I dropped that, a little bit because we aren't mailing things out as much as we were instead of 4 times a year and all that. So I dropped that to 5,500. What we spent last year was about 5,000.
Okay.
Okay. And again, if, we're budgeting a little less this year, but you can remember if we need the money, we can always get it very easily.
Well, I don't
Reserve fund.
want to do that process. I don't want to start cutting budget lines so we can go back to capital reserve. I don't want to do that. The capital reserve funding is for when we need money, short notice, like for a pump station or a pickup truck blows up. That's the kind of stuff that's for. But to under budget in these 2021 budget and be able to run over there for 2,500 because we cut it, I don't think that's a good budgeting practice myself.
Well, that was part of why we did the capital reserve fund, but I'm not really under budgeting.
We did that because we were criticized by the budget committee for budgeting 35,000 for consulting when we budgeted 5 the prior year. That's where that tick came up there. So I think that the postage was a good number because it's an actual expense. So let's not start cutting lines just because we can dip into the other fund.
Computer and communication, we've never spent the 10,000. I dropped that one down to 5,000. The reason that it was 6156 in 2019 is why it was. The reason that the actual is higher right now for 11,294 is because we spent the $4,000 on the pressure sealer. That's where this is.
Okay.
So.
We had talked about buying a laptop for Rob for his stuff for the, when we were working on the sewer use ordinance, so he could talk to Mike Trank back and forth electronically. We never followed up on that, did we?
I don't remember asking for it.
No, you didn't ask for it. I was suggesting that we do that, because you were using your computer and you were sending a lot of correspondences back and forth, and I thought that in discussion that we had actually discussed the possibility of purchasing a laptop for the commission so that we could use it for that purpose. But if no one else feels that's a good idea, then, and you want to reduce that to...
Rather than, the hardware is not really as important, not to me anyways, as just getting email accounts for the sewer commission.
I talked to Derek about that, and he was working on it through IT, and that ball got dropped. I'm going to go back to Derek on that and see what I can work on.
I mean, I know it costs money, but it's not that much, and it's,
Well, even if we had to pay for our own licenses, of
yeah, because, I just have
course,
a,
nobody else in town has to pay for their own license, but that's beside the point.
Should it be
much.
difficult to add email accounts to the
Well-
existing server?
Talk to,
I say that with reservations, not being an IT.
It's a different language.
Could you-
But I do agree, I don't think.
would you,
I don't think it's
would
that
you
big.
kindly broach the subject, please,
Yes, I
Chet?
will.
I talked to Derek about it on 3 different occasions, and I never really came up with a final answer.
Sure.
Please.
I don't know what these guys are doing for hardware. That would be,
You two have emails.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
but hardware-wise, computer-wise, do you have everything you need, or are you working on a dinosaur?
Well, the one we use for the rain gauge, and we use it for flow monitoring at East Union. That's on Windows 2000. So that's a dinosaur.
But it works.
That's a ruggedized laptop, yeah.
Well, I guess the question is, do we have computers and communication needs that you guys would like to see addressed?
When it quits, I'll have to get another one. So either replace it now or replace it
Update it
later.
before it quits.
That's what I was asking. Are things slowed down right now, in your opinion, based on using old software?
Well, it doesn't slow down, it's Windows 2000, that's how old it is.
Okay, that
It
scares
should
me.
be
But it's not
updated.
on the website.
Is it creating communication problems
Oh.
for you?
Because it's not connected to the web.
Okay. So your rain gauge has a serial port, and that has a serial port, and anything you get today won't have a serial port.
There you go, you're talking in Chinese, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm right with you, Tim.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this, and you, excuse me, Dave.
You understand if it's not broken, don't fix
Fix
it?
it.
I do understand it, but I think that it's a critical piece of equipment down at the sewer pump station. Do you believe that it would be in the best interest of the sewer department to upgrade that prior to a system crash that would result in you not being able to maintain and monitor what's going on down there?
Yeah, I would replace it because it does also, we have portable flow meters that we put in manholes too, that it runs off of. So it has more than one job.
Right, but and I haven't been in this world in a little while, but my understanding was a lot of that monitoring equipment, that your stuff isn't brand new.
No, that's quite aged.
So that's aged, so all the connections, I'll leave the names of the connections out, so I won't get in trouble.
USB port.
But you're using connections that the computer uses and the flow monitoring equipment uses. So to do it otherwise, you'd have to get adapters, and then you run into issues potentially.
What's the grand scheme in your opinion?
Well, what I want to know is your efficiency for our work degraded because of your computing equipment? I'm not talking about the pump station flow meter. I mean, your day-to-day activities, are they slowed down because your computer's too old and you're swearing at it all the time?
No, it runs fine.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all.
So we'll go back to David's assessment.
I don't use it.
Okay. There we go. Knock it to 5,000.
So we're going to leave computers and communication at the recommended 5? Is that what this commission would like to do?
Did anybody talk to IP about licenses for your computer?
I will
Was it
check.
you
I know
paid-
we
they-
did something this year with yours.
They know they pay so much a year?
Who are you asking them?
Computer-wise,
I'll double check that,
I have no
Mike.
idea what she runs, how old it is.
Oh, about
Well, go ahead and ask away.
Hey, Lynn,
Well, everything's web-based.
computer-wise
So
for
you
you,
pay a
what
license
are you
fee
working
every
off
year?
of and?
I have the same computer everybody else does. My computer's fine.
Okay.
So does this commission feel like we should lower the computers from 10,000, which is what we have had budgeted, to 5,000? Do you think we're cutting ourselves short in the event we need to buy something?
I'm not on the commission, but I would say you don't want to cut any sort of line short that involves new technology or technology in general at this point.
So I would make a motion and we restore that to 10,000 and
Okay.
from the
That's it.
5,000.
You
A
don't need-
suggestion, I should
I'm
say.
I'd
fine
say you
with
don't
that.
need to make a motion. I'm gonna put the numbers in. I'm nobody.
The next 3 lines are,
Debt service, we paid that off this
Okay.
year, or last year, so we're all set. And property insurance, that one is going to change as well.
we can
They
go
don't
up.
have the final numbers yet. I mean, it's probably just gonna be tweaked a little bit. I don't know.
So that's why you put the 4950
Yeah,
in?
yeah.
'Cause
I
it
just
was
put what
40
we spent last year, I put
You
in
upped it a
last
little
year's
bit?
actually, yeah. But Danielle says that's the number that we get from finance, and they don't have that number yet.
Okay.
Okay, so then now down to sewer operations. We have the numbers that finance gave us for the wages, overtime pay, longevity, FICA, Medicare, retirement, unemployment, workers' comp. We really don't have much say in any of that.
What number, where did they get those numbers from?
They have, they actually have a spreadsheet that they do using like your salary and,
So are they using actual times?
salaries.
They're using past payroll. That's how they generate those numbers. Whatever you got paid last year.
Well, last year was an off year because we had no construction.
There's,
Yeah,
Why
but
that
we
last
have an
year was-
overtime line for that.
No, what I'm saying is the salary line was a lot less than it normally is because we didn't have no sewer construction.
what they're doing, the way they're doing for your regular time is they're taking 50% of, your hourly wage times 26 weeks, or they're taking your hourly wage times 26 weeks.
Oh.
And then they're doing 27 weeks at your, whatever your increase would be.
But what Mike's talking about is the fact that we were on a 75-25% cost-sharing arrangement with DPW until we changed that back
Yeah,
to
now it's
50-50.
Yep, 50/50 is what it is.
So we expect the number to go up.
Well,
Might
That's-
put more time than that this year.
well, then it's up to Danielle to review the numbers and make sure the payroll numbers are right, and we're gonna get off that subject right now. 'Cause
Yeah.
we don't have any control over it.
Yeah,
Okay.
The question's been raised, and you'll address it with
Yeah.
Danielle to make sure that the payroll numbers correctly reflect the amount of work that gets done with the construction schedule.
Uniforms.
How come that went to zero?
because the only one that was getting uniforms was Mike Walton, and
You don't get
Corey-
uniform service,
Corey's
Corey?
not
I get
getting
uniforms.
You do? I
Yeah.
don't know who's paying for them, because I haven't paid for any.
Yeah, my shorts, I get the shorts from the uniform.
Yours, they're probably being paid by DPW.
Well, I think we should restore the 800 to clothing and uniforms to be sure that there's money in there when we do get the bill, when they find out at Highway that they've been paying the whole thing all this time.
Yeah, I didn't think you had uniforms, because I never paid for Mike Yurgos either, I just paid for Mike Walton. And I haven't had any bills this year.
And how come employee development got
No,
duplicated?
that was, I was adding that line, because up above, like,
Yeah.
the rate,
Oh.
but I won't add that.
We'll
I'll
delete
take
that
it
line.
out. Yeah, I'll take it out. Okay. Now, consulting fees, I was leaving that at 45,000. I know we had increased it, because
Okay,
we didn't know if Mike Walton was coming back. That's why it's at $45,000 if we were gonna pay him. I didn't know if you wanted to leave it that way next year, because I'm not sure what's going on with Mike.
well, we can sort of ask about that.
Is that a budget committee question, very underspended on that line?
We bumped it up to cover Mike Walton's possibility. We're gonna pay him as a consultant to work here. And they asked us to do something different,
So it was-
which is why we started the capital reserve funding. Now, the question would go to Mike Yurgo at this time. Mike, we expect that you're going to retire, as you stated. Are you willing to come back as a consultant to help us out, or are you going to not be willing to do that?
Come back as a consultant under my business name. I do have a business, I do have a federal ID number.
So I'm asking you, should we leave the number up there so that you
Yeah, I
could,
would.
that way if we have someone come into the position that needs some schooling, that you would be willing to come back as a consultant to help us bridge the gap between you and your
Yeah, I
replacement?
would.
Okay, good. So I would suggest we leave the consulting line alone, and I will leave our rationale is that we have another transitional year.
Okay.
What else is in that line item?
HCA.
Consulting,
Yeah, we had Hoyle Tanner.
yeah, it's
Consultants.
Hoyle Tanner, Dig Safe, Sanders Searches. That's pretty much it.
Dig Safe is in the consulting line? That's kind of odd.
There's a couple under there. for
That's
me.
fine. That's just kind of a catch-all, I guess.
Not
Okay.
much money, it's only like $75. Mostly
Okay.
it's Hoyle Tanner.
No, but engineering for Elm Street Riverview Pump Station. If you wanna have a concrete. with that.
Right, we may have to have some consulting money for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, good point. So we'll leave that line alone.
Okay. Diesel fuel,
I think we leave it right where it is.
we put it down to 2,500 because the price, what is this diesel fuel used for?
The truck,
For motor, and rental
to
motor.
run the pickup truck.
Oh, we have a truck that,
We
okay.
don't
Yeah,
pay-
diesel pickup. And when the VACCON runs, the diesel in the VACCON probably gets charged to us as well.
I don't think his
No,
truck
we have a
does.
different diesel account for
Your truck's
that.
not diesel?
It
Doesn't
is.
get charged. As far as I know.
Well, we've spent, $1,100
Just
this
the
year.
back on.
Just a back on
Back
diesel.
on diesel.
Well,
His truck, because Walton claimed
No,
for
'cause-
years that he uses more diesel plowing snow for DPW than it was for sewer.
okay. All right, well, then
We
we'll
haven't,
leave-
that's, okay, I don't,
You know,
I can see that.
these are great. If it, don't turn the rock over, we don't have to. Just leave the rock right where it is. We'll
okay,
leave that budget number the way you,
so you wanna leave it at,
yes.
okay.
Equipment maintenance?
Equipment maintenance, We looked at our prior numbers, we've never spent $10,000.
And I'll argue that we never know what we're gonna need to spend on equipment maintenance when something breaks.
What falls under the equipment maintenance, just out of
I think
curiosity?
Mike's pump system, Mike, your pumps, right, Mike and such?
All the pumps and
I have
stuff?
Smart Storage Solutions, Citizens
Pumps
Bank.
are under equipment repairs.
Equipment repairs. What's under equipment maintenance then, Mike?
What you have to ask me.
Right now, what I have, what's been charged there is Smart Storage Solutions, Citizens Bank, and Treasurer's.
Who coded
State of
that,
New
who
Hampshire.
coded a Citizens Bank to that line?
Usually something like that, I'm thinking finance must have. Those are things that those look like all things finance gave
Well, I
us.
guess you can ask finance about that.
Yeah, I would think it'd be like a
Yeah.
ventilator or a pressure washer or
Or
I'm
repairs?
gonna suggest that we
something like
leave,
that.
I'm gonna suggest we leave equipment maintenance at the $10,000 that was prior budgeted, because we don't know when things are gonna break or when they're gonna need maintenance. I mean, to start nickel and diming for 2,000 doesn't
I'm
seem,
gonna, Danielle had put it down to 3,000. She
Danielle
took
can
my-
put it wherever she wants.
I'm just gonna tell you, it's your budget, so I'm just gonna say she's gonna push back at me, and she's gonna
She
say,
can push back you at all, she can come push back at us, right here, the three of us.
okay. Well, the reasoning was because she keeps saying the capital reserve fund, that's why
Yeah,
you
okay.
did that, so. Okay, so going back to 10?
I don't think makes good sense to be going to the capital reserve fund for
Okay.
2,000 here and 5,000 there.
I'm just curious as to what equipment we're really talking about, because the
Well,
bus
we
station
talked about
stuff-
buying a camera, which never happened. That would be a great thing for
That was
equipment.
part of it.
Huh?
That was part of
I
it.
remember that.
Like I say, we ended up just buying 3 pieces of equipment.
Yeah, but that's not really maintenance.
Yeah,
That's just
Yeah.
equipment.
Well, what about like repairs to my pickup? Would that be under equipment maintenance?
I would think.
I don't know how that works, because right now the DPW paid for that pickup, and we're
Oh, 'cause
gonna.
you have equipment repairs underneath pump station.
But that's pump station.
Pump station's got nothing to do with anything else.
Oh,
But
okay.
like the
Yeah, so-
VACON repairs, that would come out of VACON.
That's its own
but
line
equipment
item, right?
with
Yeah.
the-
So if we owned a camera and you had to send it in to have it certified annually, that would be equipment maintenance.
Want to make
Or
sure.
if you have air testing equipment to enter manholes, you have to send it in to be calibrated.
Oh,
That's
or like
equipment
gas
maintenance.
meters. stuff
Gas
like
meters
that,
and such.
yeah.
So where would his truck go if his truck needed maintenance?
Nowhere
Truck's
right
not
now.
back on you, right? There's a different truck.
No, it's a different
Yeah.
truck, yeah.
Why can't we just call that equipment and maintenance?
I just saw you reading my mind, I just
Sorry.
saw the dash and I'm wondering if that's what it's meant for.
Probably was.
Maybe
Right,
that
because
is.
that would include stuff like the camera,
Yep.
Okay.
or maintenance, or calibration, or,
I like your
gas safety
thinking.
detectors or
Never,
whatever.
and we still, after 3 years, we still haven't bought that damn camera yet.
We've authorized
The
it.
last discussion we had about that was the specific camera that we wanted is only one company that
Okay.
makes that camera.
Okay.
But
They're the only ones meet your specs, so you can buy that camera. Technically.
do we need something written? A
We have to get
spec
price,
sheet
we'd have to
written?
get bids from cameras. You'd have to give similar design characteristics to camera vendors. We want
It would have-
4,000 feet of cable, we want 360-degree view. You pick out the specs you need for a camera, and you send a general list of what you expect from a camera, and a warranty period, and blah, blah, blah. You send it out in an RFP, then you get your bids back.
So it'd be a performance-based specification. So you don't necessarily have to name one, but the piece of equipment must meet these requirements.
It'd be good if you could work on that and maybe come back with some sort of a suggestion before year's end, because we have that money in that line to buy that camera. We have had it for 3 years now. I'd like to see us own a camera.
That way we can look at all the lines we're gonna
So if you
clean.
could just come up with some
Can't do
criteria
maintenance.
for what the performance would be, you know, how it's operated, digital backup, you name whatever happens.
That's all you can do with them. Push camera, you can't do mains with it.
When I had UTS camera the lines in Ware, they came on a little trolley and it drove down the sewer lines and took pictures of every one of the inverts and all the connections and recorded the footage, so I knew where all the connections were in relation to the manhole behind it. So, you know, you decide what we need for a camera and then put some specs together and,
Well, is that something that you're thinking we should have. like,
Absolutely.
Now you're talking 3 times the amount of money. If it's on one that's like remote driven,
We're gonna buy it once.
You're talking $150,000,
Well, then we're not buying that one.
and you don't have the
That's why I
manpower.
said you set the specs up.
Not for nothing, but I mean, we're only 46% expended for this year.
Yeah, but you see, those numbers are weird, Rob, because a lot of times stuff doesn't get recorded or coded until the bitter end,
Okay,
unfortunately. We were at this 1/3 spent last year at this time, and all of a sudden, everything the floodgates open, and all the lines got filled in because somebody hadn't recorded them or hadn't posted them or
so
something.
we're gonna change this line to be equipment and maintenance? Are
I
we
think,
able to
I think
do
you should
that?
add that word in there if everyone agrees, and,
And keep it at 10 grand?
yes.
No,
I don't know if I can change that to say that, but I will ask.
huh,
Well, it could be a matter of interpretation.
Yeah.
I think it is. There's a dash.
We could just interpret the dash as a
Yeah.
spacer between 2 words.
then next year you're gonna ask the same question.
Well, then let's leave the spacer in there and not ask to change it, right?
Retire, that's all.
And we'll make our own interpretation of it.
Get to remind us.
So
Okay.
CIP projects, I just put the number that we had, that we submitted to CIP.
Okay?
Back on expenses, I wasn't sure
That's gonna get buried.
what to do with that for next year.
I think it should remain at 20,000, because if they decide to fix that truck and keep it for another 5 years, or 2 years, or whatever Adam is saying, we're gonna need to have money in that line to pay our fair share of the VACON expenses. So that needs to be reappropriated at 20,000.
Okay, and you can just, whoever's doing the budget meeting can just explain that it's so low this year because we had issues with it.
Well,
it
the
wasn't
flip side
running.
is that we're potentially spending a lot more than that.
We are.
So,
But this is, I would consider it an emergency expenditure based on the fact that we don't have our equipment available. It's like anybody that doesn't have equipment available, they gotta maintain, and
right,
And-
but what do we think the likelihood of it?
they're gonna fix the VACON.
the VACON is.
Still breaks down
it's
again.
Technically, it's operational right now. They still have that, whatever the starting issue is with it, but
Adam told me directly that he didn't think he could devote the time to the sewer department.
they don't have the people. The truck is usable, they don't have anybody
And I
put it.
didn't want to engage in a conversation with him that was going to become argumentative. I just took him at his word and I dropped it. Talked to him right on East Union Street when they were all loaming shoulders.
They always run to the biggie bag.
So the question is, if we think that we might be contracting with an outside group, should we increase that number?
75,000.
So we're not,
No, I think we'd have to use under contract services, not VACON expenses.
okay, fair
That
enough.
would become a contract services line. And we can decide that prior to the budget meeting, if I can have another meeting with Adam in the meantime and find out what the long-term plan is. Maybe the DPW will find it's cost-effective to not buy another VACON and to contract services themselves. I don't know what Adam's train of thought is. I didn't really ask him any of those questions.
So just to be clear, that contract services, would that be different than our consulting services above?
Yes.
Yeah, there's another line for it. Next page.
It's on the next page.
Turn the page.
Turn the page, man.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Manchester O&M, leave it like it is, we figured. Why did you lower it dramatically to 500,000?
Because we've been over budgeting it, and I looked at, 2019 year end was 450,000. What we're at through, today is 329,274. And that's almost all the projects have been charged already. And so we just have the O&M charges that are left. So probably another 16,000 to go with that. So we're gonna be under again this year.
Well, what about the solids handling upgrade that's out to bid right now? How's that gonna affect it?
That's a separate number, isn't it? When they do
The
Upgrade
capital
it.
will, but how does it affect the O and M?
Yeah,
I guess is what it-
well,
It's
they
under
would
the
send
O&M.
it. Yeah, they might send, let me look at the O&M
That's
charges.
where that money comes out of.
I'll call her and ask her about that project.
I also have a problem reducing that because we have several large projects in town that may be going into our sewer system, which are going to increase our flowage in the near future if these projects all come to fruition. You've got the Villa project across the street, it's going on sewer. You've got the Bog Road Apartments, which are all going to be on sewer. There's a force main for that. You've got the apartments down here at the Mill Building, If that goes online, so I would be skeptical in lowering our O and M charge budget at all, because we don't know what's gonna
So
happen.
you wanna make, what do you wanna make it at? That 658, or leave it at
658.
658? Is that what you guys want?
Yeah, I think we have enough rationale to
Okay.
explain why we wanna leave it there.
Okay.
I would like you to check, though, on that.
Yeah, what's the name of that, which one is
Solids
that?
handling?
They're doing a solids handling upgrade.
Don't they notify us of what our fair share is gonna be prior to their,
Well,
You will if you go to the meeting Thursday.
that's something I was gonna bring up in a little bit, but I'll bring it up now, when we're talking about
do
it.
it quick.
There's an IMA meeting this Thursday, at noon time, lunch is provided, and there's a tour of the building and all that stuff. Usually Steve went, I went, and Mike went. I don't know who's planning on going this time. Any of you guys wanna go, or?
Dave,
I'm on vacation in Maine.
you're on vacation in Maine.
Thursday.
You wouldn't rather tour a sewage treatment plant?
Normally I would.
Okay,
Mike,
thank
are
you.
you going?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah, then I'm going
Is
to.
it this Thursday?
yes.
This Thursday, 12 o'clock.
I'll see what my
In
schedule
days
allows.
gone by, I have had a tour of Manchester.
Yeah, I had one last year. We have to
12
go
to 3.
again.
Maybe I can make that. I'll see how I can adjust my schedule.
Okay.
Okay, next line, contract services.
Okay, so now we're on to the sewer pump station.
Sewer pump
You've
station.
been on the sewer.
Well,
pump
this
station.
is, we were on sewer operations. Now we're on the pump stations.
Well, then maybe to go back to my question, that contract services,
So, Lynn, could you please title these lines in the future? 'Cause
yeah,
I don't know why we don't know what we're
They are,
looking
the
at.
lines are on the bottom. That's how the
Oh, so,
printed out.
I see, it came out on the bottom. Okay,
yeah,
we're
that's
back
how
to pump
the
station.
system does it when you print it. But I can change it myself if you want.
So what is our, can I go back to Dave or Rob, who did the tally on what our expected expenses for Belmore flagging and such for this coming season? Did you jot those numbers down, sir?
I did.
Total expenditure, ballpark,
55, 56?
including the flagging?
But that's this year, right?
Yeah, the Vector max flagging,
290 a day per flagger, and then 2 people a day times 30 days, that's 17,500.
And what was the total for the Vector services from Belmore Catch Basin?
37.8.
So what do those two numbers add up to? Give it within a
Well,
thousand?
we authorized 15,000 for the flaggers, right?
Okay.
So it's 8, 15,
37,800.
52, 8.
52.8. I think we realistically need to raise our contract services line dramatically in the event that that VACCON is not going to be up and running next year. Who knows what DPW's plans are?
Oh, you'd be talking almost $70,000.
Yeah, well, guess what? We have to vac our lines. And if
But you
we-
have to, because you're on the CMOL, you have to do 1/3 a year.
I would suggest we make that line $63,000.
Well,
Could be this-
you do almost 44,000 feet.
So I'm going to add the 53,000 to 10,000, and I want to make that line 63,000. And in the event that,
Well, if I could make a suggestion.
yes, sir?
I think that we should pull that up and put it under the operations tab instead of the pump station tab.
Right.
Yes.
There's two different
Matter of
animals.
fact, I would put it right underneath the VACCON expenses if I could.
Do you want to create a new line?
I think we should.
I
Because contract services also goes for stuff like, isn't that your pump maintenance and everything down there, Mike?
The alarm system and all that stuff is on there.
Well, that's pump station that you're on, right?
So I think maybe we leave the contract services line alone at 10,000 there, and add a contract service line in the operations for the 53,000.
Now, the thing is that
Break them up.
are we allowed to, say, make that 33,000 in the event that if we're contracting, we're not using the VACCON line item?
No, because we don't know which are you going to use. We have no idea. We've been left in the lurch on this from DPW all season.
So the only thing you can do is budget to have it cleaned.
So we would have to create a line in operations that is called contract services.
don't know if I can do that, because they'd have to make up a new budget number. I will ask, but
Well, then we leave it all in contract services and we split it up if we can't.
Well, I mean, you try to make up the employee development under sewer operations.
But that's already a budget, that's already has an object number.
Well, then if we don't use the employee development, could we replace that object number 44,300
No,
with?
see, these are all already applied, they're used throughout the whole town, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
So,
I gotta believe that there's an operations contract services somewhere in the town.
we have a contract services operations, don't we? Or is that, oh, we don't?
No,
Oh,
No, no.
then I can do it, okay. I thought you wanted to create your own totally new line.
It's gonna be on the
well, I do,
operation.
but
You do, but it's already an existing account, I get it, just,
so
okay.
would you find out about that then, Lynn?
No,
from
I can,
finance?
now I can do it, understand what
So
he's saying.
It's gonna be a different account number.
Contract services, it's the same account number, it's just a different org number. It would be the 3261000 with the contract services.
well, actually, I'm gonna say it's 45070, right? But it's gonna be
Yeah.
under
For
the
pump station.
326,
Right,
10,000.
right.
Look, Lynn, go to finance.
No, we can
Ask
do
them
it.
if we can do a contract service line in operations
We can,
with a total of $53,000.
we can.
Well, I'm hearing three different things out of it,
No,
so I'm.
because I was confused.
Well, that's
at
why I'm
first.
confused.
I thought he wanted to,
Misunderstanding your introduction of the subject. She is straight on it.
yes, I understand it now. I thought he wanted to make up a whole totally new account number. I didn't realize he was using one that was already existing.
I don't care what the number is.
63?
I don't care what the
45070.
account number is, I just want to make sure that if we're going to charge contract services for VACONing our lines, it should come under sewer operations.
63,000?
53.
Gonna be enough?
53 for that, and leave the contract services line in the pump station at 10,000, just leave it alone. So the two of them add up to a total of 63.
Okay, so contract services under the sewer pump station, you're going to leave it 10,000.
Yes.
And then you're going to add a 45070 underneath the sewer operations, and you want to budget that for
53,000.
3,000.
And that's also called contract services.
Right,
See how that works out?
that'll work.
If we're denied that from finance for any reason, we'll just take the one in the pump station line and make that the
Yeah.
total amount.
No, they won't deny that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I understand now. I'm with you. Okay. So, operating supplies.
Stays the same?
Okay, again, Danielle wanted to change it to 3,500, but based on what we've done
We're
in the
not-
past, but you want to leave it 5,000, okay.
We're not nickel and diming.
Okay. Electricity, that's in,
Stays the same?
yeah, I left it the same, because rates aren't changing, so it shouldn't be anymore. Propane, we
But you-
lowered that amount, because we've never spent, if you look back at past ones, we've never spent 2,500. We spent 1,000 last year.
That's at the backup generators.
Backup generator and the heat.
So what do you?
You're projecting the 2020 year end to be $958?
Yes.
That's what you're projecting?
No, that was 2019 year end. That was last year's year end.
Well, I'm looking at the column that says 2020 year end.
No, 2019.
I told you to change that to 2019.
Sorry, I missed you sailing that. Okay. So in year end, we only spent $958 last year?
Yes. We've spent 980 this year.
And it's
So
not even got,
far.
hasn't got cold yet.
No,
Do we use propane for heat, Mike, or just for generators?
both.
Heat, okay. Well, I think we're cutting it kind of close.
2,000?
Sorry?
Make it 2,000?
I think so.
2,000, okay. Water, I mean, I can leave that at 1,250, I put it at 1,000. We only spent 931 last year. We've only spent 359 so far this year.
Should leave it at 1,000. I mean, it's based on real data.
That's fine.
There goes irrigation.
Use of septic water, it'll grow faster.
Be nice and green,
Need a permit for that?
as long as it doesn't leave the property. we're
Permits,
good.
what the hell is a permit?
Go ahead, next, Lynn.
Telecommunications, we spent 23 last year, so I brought it down to 25.
Okay.
We've spent 1265 so far, so I figured we weren't gonna use much more than that.
Will there be a cost to that, because new for East Union, for Elm and Riverview Park for the two buildings?
What's that?
There's gonna be a cost, service cost for that, because when they take the Elm Street, they're gonna have to redo it. And
Next
Riverview
year?
Park, they're gonna have to redo it for the alarm system.
Will Elm Street could that be charged back to the project?
You're talking about the ongoing charges for the dial
Well,
lines, right?
There's ongoing charges, but they're gonna have to redo the doors and the new addition. Then they have to redo the ones at Riverview Park when you take the old building out, put a new one, then they have to probably put a whole nother system in. They'll probably upgrade it. The one at Elm Street is gonna get upgraded, that's all.
We're only at
Those
300,
should be capital expenses as part of those
But I don't know how much
projects.
they are, but
Well, no, but they should be capital, so they wouldn't be under this.
we're only talking about a $300
I
reduction,
agree
Mike.
with you. It's part of the building.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Right, I mean, I could see the leased lines for the telecommunications.
I'm just saying, that's what's gonna happen.
We'll deal with it.
Or keep it at 2,800.
$300 isn't worth
No,
worrying about.
no. Everything else is zero.
Okay.
Hazardous materials, Lynn?
We don't have the budget for that. We have.
Mike, have we needed any budget for hazardous materials?
We haven't even had any oil spill, so that's what basically was for originally.
Okay,
Because then if you have an oil spill and it gets caught in the chamber, you're gonna have to clean harbors to yank it out.
Yeah, that'd be an emergency thing and might even be a contracted service or,
all right, next line, Lynn?
Wet well maintenance, we spent 1,400 last year. We've only spent $245 this year. What actually is this?
That's to clean the wet well.
That's when they come and pump them down, right?
Right, and we do that in November.
So you haven't done it yet?
And that
That's-
pump, the lift pump.
I think
probably
we should-
go under that, wouldn't it?
We spent 1,400 last year?
Yes.
I think we should duplicate that. And we can explain that with the work gets done in November, that's why we haven't used any yet.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay, solid waste, we don't have a budget for that. Chemical expense,
Is that the
we
purchase?
haven't had any actuals for this for years. The only time we've ever used it was 2010 and 2018.
Just because the stuff was getting coded wrong.
Keep it zero.
So what's your recommendation, Mike, for our chemical expense? Leave it at zero or put some money in there?
I would put some money in it, because we use some chemicals on the wet wells that should have been coded to that, and I probably coded it to that, but I don't know what happened.
No, if you have a code there, I use the code you code to.
Because he bought some lift.
Yep.
And, well, somebody moved the code around after, but I coded to that chemical expense, but
So do you want to leave it as it's been right through at 750,
I would.
commissioners?
But, okay, but the cost is coming out of another line, so you're gonna reduce another line by 750?
No.
No.
We don't know where the bill went.
Who would have who's the vendor?
Blue Book.
USA Blue Book.
I saw them on
Probably went to
today's,
contract services or something,
or
Why they
equipment.
go on the contract services?
Probably under equipment.
or,
All depends what it is.
it depends,
Well, but if it's
USA
USA
Blue
Blue
Book.
Book and you didn't know anything,
when the bills get coded, they're supposed to be recorded to whatever the code was that the department,
well, let's talk
Hold
about
on.
the chemicals that you would be buying for it. I mean, what are they worth?
there's a USA Blue
Wow.
Book 143165, that's under equipment repairs.
I don't know what he paid for.
Yeah, the bill, one of the bills is in my office. I'd have to get it. I don't know offhand.
Did you hear me? There was, back in October of this year, there was a USA Blue Book, I think I just paid that today, 1431.
That was for a pump.
Oh,
Can you check and see what the chemicals are? I mean, I have no problem leaving it, but we should probably try to improve it. If we're not, buying odor control chemicals or grease
Kind of an
control.
odor control grease.
But I mean, it's 750. A good number is 500 or 250. I mean, I got.
It's I think it's, if I remember correctly, it was around 250 or 300, I think it was $250 for 5 gallons. And,
It goes to about 4.
yeah, 3 or 4 a year.
So that's 1,000, between 750 and 1,000. So we're right on target if we leave it at 750.
All right. There we go.
Okay, Lynn?
All right, diesel fuel. The only time we've had anything that has gone here was in 2015. Do we still need to budget it?
Yep,
Why haven't we charged anything here
because
then?
we don't, the tank's full, probably.
What do
But
we
if
use
you-
it for?
But if you have a
For the
power outage, the
backup
generator's
generator.
gonna run. That's what the diesel fuel East Union's for. It's a 6-cylinder Cummins.
Those are diesel generators and not propane generators.
The one in East Union is a diesel generator.
Okay.
Diesel. So we always left it there. It's just, you get a motor.
That's why the tank is outside under the ground?
Yep.
Okay.
Double
So-
wall fiberglass.
So I think the diesel fuel line, it's an unknown for us when the generators are gonna run, so we need to budget money to pay for the diesel fuel if the generators do run.
How long can diesel fuel sit?
Good question.
Diesel fuel can
We
sit
had
a
a
long
test,
time.
Wally tested it. Because Jim Bouchard asked that question.
I pushed one of the old Macs one day, it'd been the fuel been in it 30 years and started up and drove down the driveway, so diesel fuel lasts a long time.
We check it for water once a month too. so.
All right,
So does the commission feel that we should leave that alone or reduce that?
Leave it at zero.
Leave it at 0?
Why?
You're talking about the diesel fuel for the once-in-a-lifetime generator, tank topping off, right?
It runs more
Well,
than
if
once
the-
a year.
If the power went out and the thing had to run for 2 weeks, you're gonna burn through that fuel very quickly.
Yeah, but how many times in this budget can you put in these, once-in-a-lifetime, we don't know if it's gonna happen type line items?
All the time.
Better be
Well,
safe.
at what point do you tap into your reserve?
Here's the issue. Danielle has told us that when we do our budgets and we put this money into our budget, it artificially inflates the town budget and it makes the town budget look bad. And I don't understand that statement at all. It's got something to do with the town budget. She said it right here at our meeting one night.
It puts it all together, yeah.
I don't understand why. It's not taxpayer money. It's an enterprise fund. It's our own funding from our user fees. We don't, so if we over budget for diesel fuel and we don't use it, we didn't raise taxes to get the money for it. We just take it out of our user fees, or we leave it in the user fees in the savings accounts. I don't understand the theory that we're making the town budget look inflated.
I'll check with Derek on that, because you're bringing up a good point, and I think that if the statement that's artificially inflated is more of an issue of how we are communicating to the taxpayers maybe, than it is about what we're trying to do here, potentially. I don't know that for sure, but I'll check in on that and get back to you.
Would you guys like to leave this alone for now, or would you like to go with David's recommendation to zero it out?
Well, I think that really we need to start talking about the next item, because that's more impactful.
Well, I think we need to finish the one we're on, Rob, I'm sorry. We
Okay.
gotta decide the line so we get them done as we go.
For years, we left the number the way it is.
Is the diesel fuel tank full right now at the East Union Pump Station?
It's got 32 inches in it. I don't know. You would know better off than.
I think it's a 4-footer. Height.
So it sounds just like it's empty.
No.
No.
Probably 3/4 full.
I would suggest that we put some money in there, we get some diesel additive out of that line, put some diesel additive in the tank, some water, whatever kind of additives you want to put in there, and have the thing topped off. If it's gonna run, let's make sure the tank is at least full to start the winter.
When was it tested last?
What, a while ago.
What was-
Did it?
So it's
That's
probably-
before, that's when Bouchard was here, the soil commissioner.
What was
That
tested?
long, I mean,
How long is it?
What was tested?
the diesel, the
The
fuel.
fuel itself?
Yeah.
Corey, do we, Do we have a contract for delivering diesel? You know, the town gets it.
Same contract as the town.
But he'll deliver to other sites other than the big tank at
I don't
public.
know. We used to use Putnam.
Yeah, because they had a peddler truck and not a tractor trailer like they bring down to the highway
I'd almost
garage.
rather see it changed out and put fresh stuff in.
Well, you're not gonna take 700 gallons or whatever diesel in that tank and throw it away.
No, but you can use it elsewhere.
Where?
You don't have anything else that runs diesel?
We could put in one diesel motor and put in.
You would
another.
never take diesel out of a tank that is considered faulty and put it into a storage tank of new, good diesel. That's like putting salt in the pepper.
No,
Never do it.
Wasn't,
The only place you can go in a waste oil
Justin,
furnace.
Well, if we had a waste oil furnace to use it in, and I'm not giving it to DPW.
okay.
So it stays in the tank.
Do you want me to have the diesel tested with the?
I
I
think it
just
would
want to
be
make sure when it be
beneficial.
needed, that it's
Okay.
ready to go. I mean, I don't know much about the stability of diesel fuel over time. I know the gasoline for my generator is a constant struggle, so, and I know it's different.
All right, what's the commission's suggestion for this, regarding this line? We have to make a decision, one way or the other.
No, I could do 15 in case it's bad. Then you had to refill it.
That would show a reduction, and maybe Danielle would like that.
What do we want to do? Change it
What
from
number you gonna put in?
2,500?
1,500 was the
250?
suggestion.
I agree. Let's move on.
What is it, 1,500?
Yes. Okay, next line, equipment repairs.
So I have a question for this, for the actuals. What we spent so far this year is 47,000. The 43 was through September. There are two charges in here, one August 7th and one July 13th for AAA pump.
Yeah.
Two charges of $13,466. Did we do that twice, or are those duplicate payments?
It's 2 pumps.
Okay, so it is correct. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
You didn't pay him yet?
No, they were paid.
Oh.
I just saw, I was going through the expenses and I saw that we had two charges around the same time, so I was afraid
May I
that.
suggest you ask that question before you pay the bill next time?
Well, no, he gives them to me and it would normally say duplicate payment, but when I saw that, I just wanted to make sure.
Careful, then.
Go ahead.
So we've actually spent 43,000 on equipment repairs on a $100,000 budget.
Actually, 47,000.
I think that maintaining 100,000 is a safe bet, especially when two pumps cost $26,000. And we have how many pumps total in this town?
Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 9.
Yeah.
So,
And everything's over 20 years, except for those 3, everything's over 20 years old.
and those charges were for new rotating assemblies?
Rebuild the whole pump.
They-
Yeah,
Pull the rotating assembly
Impala.
out, put a new one in, new core.
New Impala, Poly, the Volute, new bearings, had the motor redone.
So are we going to leave that alone, or what are we doing with
I
it?
would. The way it's been going this year,
They're showing their age.
I got a 4 meter more.
Hey, if we got 9 new pumps in, yeah, we'll lower the budget then, that year, when we have 9 new pumps in place.
Because I gotta be doing a flow meter down in Moose Club. The tube, the mag meter tube, the transmitter, it's no good, so. And that's in the force main,
What size is it?
it's either 4 or 6.
Okay, so
It's
we're-
5 minutes to 8, everybody, let's get moving
So we're
here.
changing that, we're keeping that at 100,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Pump station upgrade,
That one, I didn't know if we were leaving money in that, or?
yes, it's appropriated, and we're trying to get the bid done so we can sign a contract. We just got done talking to Mike Trank about it.
Because your paving's gonna come out of that line.
So this is for next
There's no reason
year.
to change it, right?
So you're gonna leave the three,
Depends how much your billing's gonna cost.
Mike's still there?
Mike?
I don't know if you can get a cost estimate for the building,
Yep, I'm here.
for the addition.
Sorry to call on you on short notice, Mike.
I had myself muted.
You mean you were asleep?
I'll never tell.
Okay.
Did you hear his question?
Rob has a question for you, go Rob.
So we'll go through the budget, the pump station upgrade, we had originally $350,000 budgeted. Is that still an accurate number?
Well, I haven't looked at updating the estimated cost lately. What I can tell you, though, that generally throughout 2020, construction bids, at least in the earlier part of the year anyway, were coming in really, really high, a lot higher than we had expected.
And we know. When we did our sewer replacement this year, the bids were way higher than we had your engineer's estimates for.
Is this a cost index type of thing that we can apply, or is it something where you should put a number together?
It probably would make sense to try to put a number together.
When is our budget presentation, Lynn?
It's the second one.
26th?
The 20, something like that, 24th.
26th, I thought you told me,
Yeah,
of November?
Yes, October, no, this
October.
month, yeah.
You busy next
Then
week?
leave it at 350 for now.
Well, Mike, if you think it's gonna be a sizable increase over the 350, is there a way for you to get us some sort of a non-verifiable, we won't hold you to it number, so that if we do need to budget at 450, we could at least have it for our budget presentation? Which is
Yeah.
which is in like a week and a half?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll hold that line open until we hear from Mike.
Okay.
Then you gotta add his number in there for review.
All right, that's it for the budget.
So don't forget, we gotta add that too. We gotta add the Riverview concrete structure into that line as well.
Mike Trank, are you able to put a scope and fee together for evaluating the existing foundation at Riverview for the suitability of a precast concrete building?
Yes.
It's coming up
Yeah,
a
we,
little bit.
we designed that originally, so, it should be fairly straightforward, I think, but yeah, we can certainly do that.
So Mike, would you please communicate with Lynn directly on any of these estimates you're gonna provide us with, so that she would have them to plug into our budget matrix, please?
Yeah, and I'll copy the commissioners on it.
Thank you.
So the number he's gonna give, he's gonna add all that together, and it's all gonna go in that one line.
But then we also have what Mike just stated, at Rob's building. If we decide to do the building next year, that has to be included, the
Right, we're gonna
80,000.
put it in this line with pump station?
Pump station upgrade.
Okay, that's what I was just verifying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
can
mean,
do that.
that's gonna end up being a pretty good swag, because not only do we have the building, then we have whatever GC work.
Well, I would just make a wild guess that if your building is 80,000, your GC is gonna be 80,000, just double the building number.
It's not a bad plan for now.
And then put that in as a,
One question for you.
go ahead, Mike.
For any construction phase engineering services, do you want that included as well in that item?
Well, we have a consulting line for that. I think that's where that money would be coded to, correct? Lynn or Mike?
Consulting services is under, for engineering.
So if Mike has engineering services as preparation, that's where those would get coded.
Right, yeah.
Right,
And we have that line pretty fattened up right now, Mike, for,
45 grand.
yeah, so I think we would put that in another line, Mike, but if you could run the numbers on a guesstimate basis, that'd be great, but we're not gonna hold, we don't need them for the line that we're trying to finish up here, the pump station upgrade line.
Yes, okay.
So, so it's gonna be 160 plus 350, or whatever Mike's new number is, that's how high that number's going up to.
Plus, we're gonna re-landscape it after.
I don't think we're gonna worry about landscaping right now. We can only put landscaping in next year's budget.
Corey's already running the track Bobcats.
That's what I said, him next
So
year.
that, right now, I'm gonna put it at 510, and if Mike comes with, a
We're not
different
putting it
number.
in, well, just leave that
Just wait,
open, Lynn.
Just leave
wait,
it.
okay. You're gonna make sure you add the 160 or whatever, right?
You had to
Mike?
add the 160 to whatever Mike
Okay.
gives you for this guesstimate,
Okay.
okay? So, in the past, I have gone to the budget meeting with Lynn to present the budget. Any other commissioner who would like to attend is welcome to attend and help us out. Unless someone would like to do something different, I will continue to go to the budget
Oh,
committee.
wait, while you speak, be careful what you say, because it's through Zoom. It's not in person this year.
I'll
They're
have to
doing
Zoom it with you. You'll have to help me do the Zoom thing.
So we're not do it myself.
I don't know how to do any of that. I don't wanna know how to
So proud
do
of
it.
you right now, you're gonna actually do it.
I don't,
Wow.
I don't wanna do it, but I will.
That's a
Would you be
defeat.
doing that
Understood.
here?
Do you want to do it here?
Wherever you plan to do it is fine. We can Zoom it from right here.
Do you know how to do it?
Do you know how to do it?
No, I'm saying, if you're on, Lynn, if you're online here, why can't Tim be sitting
Next to
with
you.
you?
That's what the
Okay,
plan
that's
is.
what, that's our plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna have her lead,
I'll figure it out, though.
or we'll have to get someone who knows how to Zoom to come in here and set us up.
You just click on the link, but you have to have the camera
It'll be
on
fine.
the
She's
computer.
doing it.
so.
It'll be fine.
Okay, so you and I'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
You bring in the coffee
sure.
or something stronger?
That sounds good.
When- Since we're an enterprise fund, when do we see the revenue side, that everything equals out?
I'm going to work with Danielle to make sure before I submit this that it equals to the revenue.
That's what the enterprise fund is for, the savings
But
account.
I asked, when do we see it? She's gonna work it out.
Yes.
They have a pretty good idea what the revenues are.
Yeah, because our revenue, it has to match, our budget has to match our revenue.
Okay.
Yeah, I just found that out today myself.
We can always secede from the town. Go our own way. Water department does it. All right, is there any other business before the commission tonight? I know it's 8 o'clock, it'd be nice to everybody can go home.
Yeah, one of my signatures.
I'm working on
We're
it.
going to,
Dave, the warrant, Dave?
you were gonna ask about public comment again?
Yeah, that's right, thank you for reminding me. We have held open public comment in case anybody missed out, and at this time, if anybody wants to call in for public comment, please feel free to call in.
Nobody there.
Thank you, we'll close the public comment.
I got one new item.
Please, Dave.
This Thursday night, the planning board is reviewing for the first time a draft of the Goffstown Master Plan, which I know Tim has read every word of this. so I
3
probably-
times.
I'm recovering. Anyways, it mentions sewer department only twice in the whole 10, master plan, and this is a master plan, that, looks forward for the next 20 years.
About sewer?
Well, on one page, it says that during public outreach with residents, there was a response with people being interested if the sewer system's going to be expanded. That's all it says. Is there an expansion of the sewer system? And then when it comes back to, in the meat of the whole master plan, the only area that it possibly shows up is under a category called economic development, and it's one bullet. Continue to plan for and expand public utilities to underserved areas of Gulfstown. And so, in theory, sewer lines are public utilities. And I'm just asking the commission here this evening, that's rather a very general umbrella statement, so we should be okay with it. Continue to plan for expansion. Unless you wanted more, there should be more
As a
meat.
de- as a
Unless
de-
it was something more specific to where should we be in 20 years?
At the developer's expense?
Because generally speaking, we don't increase sewer out of our budget. We require anybody who wants to develop something that is going to have a sewer extension for them to pay for it. So we don't have, the only place we don't have sewer, which would benefit the town, is on going up to where Ernie Tebow's place is, the corner of St. A's.
Oh, Daniel Plummer Road.
Daniel Plummer Road. We don't have sewer on our road. That could be a benefit to the town if the sewer commission decided to do that someday.
When Steve Crane was on the board, we looked at that. And, about 50% of the parcels on the left, or more than that, 99% of the parcels on the left are already connected to sewer. So the only ones you're really gonna get any contribution to sewer is everybody on the right going towards Daniel Plummer from Mass Road. They're all on septic.
Residential homes.
residential homes are on sewer already, through the back. And Country Squire's on sewer already. So,
You're talking Cody Ave.
yeah,
that
those
stuff.
industrial, and it's all industrial. So then you're gonna get a lot of industrial pretreatment problems.
Well,
Okay, I don't,
You know,
I only wanted to bring it up because the planning board is considering the master plan, which does need to be revised, and it doesn't say anything other than a very umbrella statement about public
do
utilities.
you have a PDF version of that?
I can send it to you.
I would be interested.
I'll do that this evening.
You know, I guess just in general, it depends on whether the economic development involves sewer in particular areas, and if you wanted to make an area more attractive to development, then maybe that's an investment worth making, but again, like Tim mentioned, we're not in that business. We would support it if asked potentially.
And that's I think that's where my head is at. I don't think that speaks to who pays for it. I think it speaks to just the sewer commission having capacity to expand when necessary. And on the Economic Development Council, that's the discussion, is just that there's capacity for it to happen when necessary.
I mean, I would think that bringing industry and business to town would be a good thing. And, you know, at least a paragraph in the report that would suggest that we have purchased X allocation from Manchester wastewater treatment plant, and that capacity exists, the potential's there. Now, the other part of the equation is how do you get it from wherever you want to focus the development to that plant involves money and logistics.
That's a good point, since this ought to state, it says
sign all
here,
three.
some of this statement is, where are we right now? And so that, the answer to that question is, at what point are we in the capacity of pumping to Manchester? Are we at 50%, 70%, 80%?
What do we have right now for gallons purchased, 2 million?
Yes,
More than that, 2.2.
And we're sending about 1 million?
106.3 or something.
You'll send $1 million a year.
So we're at less than half capacity right now.
Actually, there's an introductory page in the draft sewer accessibility, the document that summarizes that pretty succinctly.
So it possibly could be, just as a paragraph in here, a sentence or two, that our capacity is, it's okay for the foreseeable future.
Well, I think that you could say that there's an opportunity, if the master plan wanted to go in the direction of economic development,
It does.
then we could. And sewer would not limit you.
Yeah, I think a statement, some sort of statement that the sewer does not discourage growth.
Dave, would you sign the warrant,
Is
please?
prepared, would be good.
Politician.
But I do say though, once you get to 75% of capacity,
Yeah,
there's no more growth.
Well, you have to submit a plan,
yeah, then
You
we
gotta
have to,
start all over
then
again.
we reassess.
Yeah. negotiate.
Hope we
But at
never see
point-
that.
But at that point, you have a different economic scenario.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
All right, where are we? Next,
Oh, no, what do I have to do with these
Yep.
things?
Give them to me. Once you
I
sign.
signed them. It says, one of them says the accessibility fee is due. Is that job completed? The sticky note says
No, it's-
accessibility.
it's due.
Any other business before this commission tonight? Corey, Mike, Chet? David?
No, sir.
Rob?
I'm good.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn the sewer commission meeting?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Dave?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Tim votes yes. Thank you for everyone for attending. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.